I was a programmer in my previous life. During the defense system competition, my girlfriend's crush submitted a program that was exactly the same as mine. My sister came forward to testify for crush, accusing me of being shameless and plagiarizing her crush's work. I was ruthlessly attacked online by everyone, and even my own parents refused to believe me. They called me disgraceful and told me I'd be better off dead. In the end, I died as they wished, succumbed to illness, and when I opened my eyes again, I was back to the day before the competition. This time, I decided to take a passive approach and leave for abroad. To my surprise, this popular crush seemed to panic. Chapter 1. I opened my eyes and found myself still in the school lab. Looking up, I saw that the clock on the wall read 2 a.m. The lab was still bustling with noise. I glanced at the calendar. It was exactly 1 week until the defense system program submission deadline. After staying up for several nights in a row, I had just given in to exhaustion and closed my eyes for a quick nap in the lab. Fiona from my team came over and tapped my shoulder. "Kevin, if you're too tired, you should head home early. A fresh mind tomorrow will help you think faster." I nodded, finally realizing that I had been reborn. Looking at the blinking cursor on the computer screen, I couldn't help but recall my past life. In my previous life, after our team excitedly submitted our defense system to the competition organizers, our scores were immediately nullified, and we were accused of plagiarism. A large group of people online pointed out that our design was identical to another team's design. One of the main participants from that team would frequently upload their code to a website, where they gained a large following. Every day, I was relentlessly attacked by these fans. How shameless. This team copied the design that was posted online word for word. If I had known, I would have entered the competition too. I could have won. This team is bold, blatantly copying someone else's work. They should be banned from the entire industry. This school isn't a good school either. Just look at the students they produce. They're still in school. They'd do anything for money. I can't imagine how corrupt they'll be when they enter society. But we refused to believe it. The design was something we had come up with together as a team. There was no way it could have been an accidental match with someone else's work, and certainly not to the point of being identical. But it didn't matter. My sister personally joined the fray, acting as a fact-checker. She went through our code line by line and compared it to the other teams. The entire project looked like it had been copied and pasted exactly. I quickly went to the website to find the account of the other team. The account's profile picture showed a handsome esports player. He now had tens of thousands of followers, with many of them calling him their crush. His latest post had been uploaded just 5 minutes ago. I opened it and broke into a cold sweat. His latest post shared his design approach and included the code. His approach and code were exactly the same as mine, down to the very last detail. I began to wonder if there was some kind of system in this world that made this possible. The boy was a student in the physical education department at our school. His name was Zach. He was handsome and athletic, and had always had a lot of people chasing after him. After graduation, one of the best job opportunities was at a research institute in City A. Graduates from our school could earn millions annually, and the competition organizers were also from this research institute. Just a few days ago, Zach had posted on the school's confession wall, setting a goal to become a hacker in 30 days and become a master in cybersecurity. His target was to join the research institute right after graduation. Chapter 2. Of course, people in our field didn't believe it, but his fangirls did, including my girlfriend, Elise. My girlfriend had praised Zach more than once in front of me, saying how handsome he was and that he had an 8-pack. I was upset and told her I wanted to break up. To set her free, she insisted that she only admired him as an idol and that I was the one she wanted to spend her life with. At that time, I was naive. Elise was the daughter of our family's maid, and she had grown up with me, always obedient. I believed she truly valued our relationship. I had my flaws, though. I spent most of my time in the lab, and Elise would always joke that the system was my real girlfriend, and she was just that side chick. But just now, I found a photo on Zach's homepage from a luxurious hotel. In the reflection from the hotel window, I could see the shadows of 2 women. One of them clearly belonged to my sister, and the other was a slim arm with a scar near the thumb, a mark I recognized on Elise. From the angle, it was obvious that Zach had deliberately shown my sister's full figure and cropped Elise out. It seemed like Zach simply wasn't interested in Elise, using her as a backup. My intuition told me that these strange occurrences were connected to Elise and my sister, but I couldn't understand why my sister and Elise would do this. Why would they push me to the brink of death for someone else? And I couldn't figure out how they had managed to keep Zach always in the loop with my first-hand code. Had they tampered with my computer? I quickly checked my laptop but found nothing unusual. Could it really just be a coincidence? The main goal of this competition was to optimize the system, aiming to better protect against foreign hacker intrusions that could steal money from users' accounts. However, the payment systems already available on the market were more than capable of achieving these functions. Thinking this over, I deleted all the previous code. I then rewrote the code for the most common solutions currently available on the market, curious to see if Zach would update his post with these changes as well. After finishing that, I went home to sleep. As soon as I arrived, my sister came home too. The moment she saw me, she started mocking me. "Oh, look who's here, our family's cybersecurity genius. Running out of ideas, can't figure out the design." My parents always favored the more successful child, and compared to my sister, I was the more accomplished one. That's why she had always been resentful. If this had happened in my past life, I would have ignored her. But now I was extra cautious. I found it strange that she knew whether my program design was going smoothly or not. My program design is going just fine. If nothing unexpected happens, I'll definitely be the one to win first place this time, I replied. My sister sneered. There's no way you're getting first this time. Hearing our argument, my dad came out. He owned a small financial company. In my past life, I had always been top of my class, acing every exam. I loved programming and often participated in competitions, always winning first place. My dad had always been proud of me, saying that I was smart, just like him. He relied on me to optimize many of his company's programs. But after I was falsely accused of plagiarism, his attitude completely changed. He scorned me for bringing shame upon him, asking how I could still face the world and why I hadn't just died already. Later, he and my sister kicked me out, and I died alone in a hospital. I clenched my fists at the thought. Now, my dad was smiling. I trust my son. He's just like me, always winning first place. Once your system is optimized, I'll switch my company's defense system to yours. That way, I'll have some bragging rights. I forced down the unease in my heart and pretended nothing was wrong, nodding obediently as usual. My sister snorted and went back to her room, while my dad reminded me to get some rest. I agreed. But as soon as I went back to my room, I started checking for hidden cameras. I searched all over, but found nothing. I then opened the computer at home to check Zach's homepage. His post hadn't been updated. Maybe I was just being paranoid. If that was the case, even better. I had already figured out how to optimize the system for the next phase. Tomorrow morning, I'd head to the lab to start working on it. Chapter 3. The next morning. As soon as I entered the lab, I checked Zach's homepage again. His post still hadn't been updated. It really seemed like a coincidence. I finally relaxed and could fully focus on my work. I skipped lunch and continued coding, getting more excited the deeper I got into it. By the afternoon, my code was finally running smoothly. I stretched and looked at the screen, feeling a surge of accomplishment. Fiona, who had been waiting for me to finish, was clearly excited. "Kevin, did the program run? You're amazing. What do you want to eat? Let's celebrate today." But I still couldn't shake the unease in my chest, afraid Zach might pull something unexpected. "I'm fine with anything. Just something quick," I replied. Fiona nodded and went to grab food. Once she left, I checked Zach's homepage again, and to my disbelief, his latest post was exactly the same code I had just finished running. I refreshed the page repeatedly, wondering if I was hallucinating. On the fifth refresh, Zach posted again, and this time, the content shocked me. The post was a photo showing my computer screen, displaying the web page where I was viewing his post. The caption read, "I never expected that even a competition expert would notice me. Looking forward to your design." The photo was clearly taken by someone in our lab. I broke into a cold sweat. I quickly glanced around the room, but everyone had their heads down, focused on their own work. It was impossible to tell who had taken the picture. The comments under Zach's post started flooding in. "Who's this? Some bookworm who spends all his time in the library and lab. He's all about hard work, but he can never compare to our genius. Zach. I heard Zach's entering the defense competition too. Zach, you better stop sharing your design ideas and code, or people with bad intentions might steal them." No wonder I was relentlessly attacked in my past life. It turned out I was already surrounded on all sides. "Kevin, your food's here. Why do you look so distracted?" Fiona came back with lunch. "I'm fine, just a little tired lately." After taking a big bite, I felt a bit more alive. I made a difficult decision. Since no one wanted me to win, I would just quit the competition. My safety was more important. With my skills, even if I withdrew from the competition, I could easily land a job at a great company. I went to find Fiona alone to discuss it. She tried to convince me to stay, but seeing my determined attitude, she reluctantly agreed. She hugged me and told me to get some rest. I immediately booked a ticket to Thailand, planning to take a break. Just then, Elise called me. Her voice sounded anxious. "I heard from someone in your team that you're quitting the competition." A chill ran down my spine. "Who told you that?" I had just told Fiona, and we hadn't even told anyone in the team yet, but Elise already knew. Elise didn't answer my question but began to scold me. "How can you be so irresponsible? In a big competition like this, teamwork is the most important. You can't just quit like that. Have you thought about how the team feels?" "Elise, have you ever thought about how I feel?" I shot back. She fell silent for a moment. "What do you mean?" I think we should break up. Before she could respond, I hung up. I was mentally and physically drained, and I didn't want to be entangled with her anymore. I packed my things and was about to leave. Just as I reached the door, I saw Elise, Zach, and their team rushing towards me. Zach looked desperate. Kevin, did you misunderstand something between Elise and me? There's nothing going on. Please continue the competition. I really want to compete fairly with you. Elise, unwillingly, said. Kevin, stop joking. Let's keep competing. I'll be with you from now on. Okay, and anyway, you've been with me all these years. After breaking up, who else would want you? I sneered. So now you both want to control my breakup and my decision to withdraw from the competition. Zach's team members whispered among themselves. Is he quitting because he saw Zach's design and code and realized he can't win? Yeah, I think that's it. Zach's a natural talent. He'll succeed as long as he puts in a little effort. I ignored them all and walked around them, heading straight for the airport. In my previous life, the online attacks I faced were far worse than this. Every day was a nightmare. I couldn't even walk down the street without being spat on by strangers. Chapter 4. As soon as I arrived at the airport, my dad's call came in. Without asking anything, he immediately started yelling at me. Kevin, I heard you're quitting the competition. How could you bail out like this? Do you know how many people I've told that you were going to win this competition? You'd better come back and finish this. It was always like this. My dad cared more about his face than anything else. I couldn't even be bothered to explain. After all these years, the prize money for my past competitions was enough to let me live comfortably for a while. The flight went smoothly, and when I arrived on a small island in Thailand, the sight of the waves and the sunshine instantly lifted my spirits. I spent my days soaking up the sun, drinking coconut juice, and enjoying the carefree lifestyle. I didn't have to stay up late trying to design solutions or fix bugs, and I didn't need to anxiously monitor Zach's page for any updates. One evening, I suddenly received a call from Fiona. She had realized there were issues with the code I had originally designed. If it's only dealing with a small number of attacks, the system will hold up fine. But with a larger scale, it could easily crash, she explained. Hackers could exploit this to steal users' funds. There's a huge risk. I listened, then gave her some ideas for a fix. Fiona seemed to have an epiphany after hearing it. We ended the call, and I went back to browsing the news. To my surprise, I saw that my dad had adopted Zach as his godson. He had once said he valued talent above all else. It seemed that if his own son couldn't be the winner, he would just find another talented person to replace him. The news also mentioned that my sister claimed Zach had created the best defense system in the world, and that our family's financial software would soon be upgraded with it. Curious, I opened my laptop and secretly checked Zach's homepage again. His latest post was full of excitement. The competition plan is complete. Here's the code. Feel free to offer any feedback. The comments were flooded with praise for Zach. I took a closer look at his plan, and my blood ran cold. It was exactly the same as the idea I had suggested to Fiona. Had I misjudged everything? Was it Fiona who had leaked my code? But why would she do that? My mind was in chaos, and I decided to visit some nearby temples to clear my head. Just as I arrived at the temple, my sister called. Her voice was urgent. Kevin, you need to check the payment system at home. There have been a lot of user complaints. Their accounts have been drained out of nowhere. I snuck a peek at the system and discovered that the loss was over 50 billion. Chapter 5. I let out a bitter laugh. Haven't you already teamed up with Zach? With a genius like him on your side, why do you still need me to fix the system? Kevin, how dare you speak to your sister like that? You'd better get back here right now. The phone was passed to my dad. His furious voice made me realize something. My sister and I were always going to be different. I had to be exceptional for my dad to like me, but my sister didn't need to do anything. She was his precious eldest daughter, even though she had never been serious about anything. As soon as my sister graduated, she became the general manager of the company. My dad always said I was his favorite, but deep down, he had always wanted me to just quietly support my sister. Well, if that was how it was, then they could go ahead and live happily with their godson. With a heavy heart, I hung up the phone, but just as I did, my head suddenly felt as if it had been struck by something hard. The pain was so intense that cold sweat poured down my face. My body curled up uncontrollably, and I collapsed to the ground. I looked up at the statues of gods and felt my consciousness fade. In my blurry vision, I saw a monk approaching me. I woke up again in a guest room at the temple, my head still aching fiercely. I glanced at my phone. It had been bombarded with missed calls. There were calls from my sister and dad, Elise, and Fiona. I opened up my social media and saw that the top trending topic was about the issues with our family's financial system. My dad's company was facing the risk of bankruptcy. I closed the phone. It wasn't my company. It was my dad's and my sister's. I didn't care about that right now. What I needed was to figure out why my head hurt so much. When I went outside, I saw the monk who had helped me watering some flowers. I bowed deeply in gratitude. The monk looked at me with sharp eyes. as if he could see through everything. He gave me a slight nod in return. You don't need to worry too much, young man. You are fated to have a second chance. Since the heavens have given you another opportunity, the outcome will surely not disappoint you. As long as you maintain a clear heart, everything will be fine. I was struck by the monk's words. He had already figured out that I was reborn. I hurriedly spoke. Master, since you can tell that I am reborn, can you help me understand why someone seems to think exactly like me, as if we're connected, and why does my head hurt? The monk smiled faintly. I think you've come to the wrong person with this question. For your headache, you should go see a doctor. With that, the monk turned and left without another word. I didn't understand what he meant, but he was right about one thing. If my head hurt, I should go to a doctor. I made my way to the nearest hospital and was quickly arranged for a CT scan. While I was in the CT room, I noticed several doctors gathered around the image. Looking at the scan, my heart sank. Could I have some terminal illness? Was something seriously wrong with me? When the CT scan was done, the doctor showed me the image and pointed to a particular spot on my brain. Look here, there's something in your head. Our initial judgment is that this object was placed there later. Have you had any head surgery before? I froze, my mind going blank. No, I've never had any head surgery. The doctor shook his head. That's impossible. We've all examined the scans, and we're sure that this thing was put there later. It wasn't there before. I couldn't understand. If I had had surgery, I would have remembered it, and it didn't make sense that I had no memory of it. The doctor, seeing the confusion on my face, continued pointing to the image. Look here, there's something that looks like a claw. This could be the cause of your recent headaches. So, it's grabbing my brain and causing the pain? I asked, horrified. It appears so. As for your feeling that someone can understand exactly what you're thinking, that could be related to this object as well. I shuddered. So, does this mean someone else could be controlling me somehow? Could it be influencing my thoughts? The doctor nodded. Possibly, but for now, we can't say for sure. This object has to be removed before we can give any definitive answers. He looked at me seriously. Right now, this thing can extend its claws to affect your brain. It might even kill you if you're not careful. I nodded solemnly. This was far worse than I had imagined. Chapter 6. After leaving the hospital, I gripped my phone tightly, waiting for a call. I wasn't sure whether it was my sister, Elise, or Fiona who was behind all this, but whoever it was, going through all the trouble to implant something like this in my brain meant they must want something from me. Sitting on a bench in the park, I nervously glanced at the pedestrians around me. I couldn't help but wonder, if someone could constantly monitor my thoughts, had they already come to Phuket Island? Finally, my phone rang. It was my sister. Despite the fact that our family's company was on the brink of bankruptcy, her voice was dripping with smug satisfaction. Kevin, how's that splitting headache feeling? I tightened my grip on the phone. Did you implant a tracking device in my head? Why would you do something like this? My sister laughed, her words cutting through me like daggers. I don't have the brains for that, but Dad thought you were clever, so he came up with this way to control you. If you behave, if you always play the part of my right-hand man, you'll never have a problem. But if you try to go against me or do something on your own, I'll crush your head without hesitation. So, they had known about my rebirth all along, but I was still confused. But why did you have Zach plagiarize my code and frame me for cheating? Because I'm tired of you always acting like you're the only one with any brains. Like the world revolves around you and everyone else is an idiot. So, you teamed up with Elise and Fiona to set this trap for me. Yep. You think you're so smart? Well, I'll have everyone around you treat you like a fool and see who the real genius is. My voice shook uncontrollably. I never thought I was smarter than anyone. I never wanted to compete with you. I just wanted a job and a normal life. Ha, you say that, but you've always wanted more. From the moment Mom was pregnant with you, I feared you'd be a boy who'd fight me for the inheritance. And guess what? You turned out to be a boy. Dad always said he loved me the most because I'm the eldest. But when you grew up, you were so annoyingly clever, always getting top grades, and Dad would always scold me for being stupid. So, I had to prove myself. You should hate Dad, not me. When children don't get along, it's usually because the parents have failed. Why take it out on me? And now you've won, haven't you? You can just kill me if you want. Why keep talking to me about all this? Shut up. I didn't expect you to be able to control thoughts like that. You tricked Fiona, got Zach to copy the wrong code, and now the hackers have taken all the money from our users' accounts. If you want to stay alive, you better help me get that money back. Otherwise, I'll make sure your brain explodes into mush. Her hysterical tone was like a knife scraping against my calm. I remained unnervingly composed. I've finally seen through everything. No one around me truly cares about me. They've all been lying to me. I don't want to live anymore. There's no point in being alive. My sister clearly hadn't expected me to feel this way. She was stunned into silence, and for a moment, I even heard urgency in her voice. But you're so smart. If you win this competition, you can finally get into the research institute you've always dreamed of. A salary of 10 million. If you stop fighting me, I promise you'll have nothing to worry about for the rest of your life. Isn't that great? I'm tired, and I've already withdrawn from the competition. Plus, you brought in Zach to frame me, so I can't win anyway. Besides, can you really live for money alone? I'd rather just die. She tried to continue persuading me, but I cut her off abruptly. Since I was a kid, Dad has been hard on me. I've never slept more than 5 hours a night since elementary school. Now, I only have this last bit of time. I just want to sleep a little longer. With those words, I hung up the phone and shut my eyes, forcing myself to empty my mind. I had already figured out the pattern. As long as I didn't think, say, or do anything, they wouldn't be able to analyze what I was planning. Chapter 7. I made sure my mind was completely blank before heading back to the hospital at a leisurely pace. The doctor seemed surprised when he saw me again. "What are you doing back here?" I didn't answer. The doctor noticed something wasn't right with me, so he approached and gently pulled my eyelid up to examine me for any abnormalities. I shook my head lightly. The doctor pondered for a moment. "Are you trying to say that there's nothing wrong with your body?" I nodded faintly. Then, "You don't want anyone to know what you're thinking or what you're doing." I nodded again. "So why are you back at the hospital? Do you want us to help remove the object?" I nodded once more. "But if they find out you're planning to have surgery to remove it, won't they kill you?" I shook my head. I guessed that my sister was probably busy dealing with the bankruptcy, trying to somehow rekindle my will to live. As long as the money from the users' accounts was still missing, I was safe. The doctor was quite intrigued by the object in my brain. When he heard that I agreed to the surgery, he seemed genuinely excited. He asked the nurses to gather a team of doctors to consult and finalize the surgery plan, and we decided that the procedure would take place tomorrow morning. Before leaving, I said to the doctor, "Doctor, I want to sleep. Please prescribe some sleeping pills." The doctor seemed surprised but quickly understood. "Have you been having trouble sleeping lately?" "Yes, I've been having insomnia. I need a good rest." My phone started vibrating frantically in my pocket. When I checked, it was indeed my sister. She had already figured out that I had bought sleeping pills. She must have guessed that I was planning to use them to commit suicide. I immediately hung up, followed the nurse to my room, and asked for water to swallow the pills. The phone vibrated again. This time, it was Elise. I answered the call, curious to hear her pleading voice. "Kevin, where are you? Please, I beg you, help Zach. Your sister wants him to double the compensation, and that's 100 billion. How can I help? Should I call the police?" "Sorry, I'm a little busy right now." I hung up without waiting for a response and then fell into a long, deep sleep. Tonight, I would rest well. But my sister, she wouldn't have time to sleep. She'd probably turn Phuket upside down trying to find me. As long as I slept deeply, my mind blank, and the time passed, they would eventually think I had really died. The next morning, the doctors would rush me into surgery. I hoped everything went smoothly. When I woke up again, the doctor congratulated me on the success of the surgery and assured me that the object had been successfully removed from my brain. Bored, I began scrolling through social media. The headline news was that I had allegedly died in Phuket, and the story was trending at the top. There was a video of my sister, red-eyed, speaking to the media, claiming I had gone to Thailand alone and cut off contact with the family for over 48 hours. She said I had left because of a breakup and was in a bad state of mind, possibly even suicidal. She blamed my leaving on my failed romance, but said she had already punished Elise and hoped I would come home soon. The media sympathized with her, praising her as a beautiful, kind-hearted sister. They pitted me as someone whose brain was clouded by love, and Elise's family was doxxed and attacked. People called her a cheater, and there were photos of my sister picking Zach up from school in a Maybach. Another photo from a luxury hotel showed my sister's shadow in the window, which was circled by the netizens. They connected this to the recent scandal with my company and were now blaming my sister for everything. I couldn't help but smile. I had been too hasty before, when they took the object out of my head. I should have gotten plastic surgery too. I continued scrolling through Zach's profile, and it was flooded with comments cursing him. Ugh, he studies sports but pretends to be some programming genius. His personal life is a mess. He's being kept by a rich woman while flirting with my girlfriend. He's just trash. Someone had posted a picture of my sister picking him up from school, and another picture from the hotel where my sister's reflection was clearly visible in the window. People connected it all with the recent mess my company was in and were saying my sister deserved everything that was happening to her. I wondered how my dad would react to all this public opinion. Just imagining his anger made me feel a little better. It would only speed up my recovery. Chapter 8. But the fact that I was still alive eventually reached my father. My sister was right. My intelligence clearly took after him. He sent Fiona. The moment she saw me, she started crying, constantly apologizing. "Kevin, I'm not asking you to forgive me. I'm asking you to forgive your father. He's not had it easy. He's done all this for our family. No matter how confused your sister is, she's still your sister." I was completely disappointed. My sister had caused such a huge mess, and my father still couldn't let go of her. With my sister's brain, she'd ruin the company in an instant. Oh, wait, no, it's already ruined. Our family is almost bankrupt. Right. Fiona cried even harder when she heard that. Kevin, your sister really is a piece of work. Your dad even said he'd kill her. But she's still his biological daughter. Is she not my real sister? My dad still can't let her go. Eventually, she'll be the one taking over his company. Fiona smiled, interrupting me. Of course not. Your dad's not that stupid. I'm pregnant. And it's a girl. I'm already 24 weeks along. What? Is the child my dad's? I was completely stunned. Of course. Your dad said your mom is just a pretty face. Good for nothing but looking good. Your sister's just like her, beautiful but useless. But I'm smart. And the child I have will be smart too. So don't worry. When your dad's company is handed over, it'll go to my daughter. She won't disappoint you like your sister. It took me a while to process. I couldn't accept that one of my old female friends the same age had betrayed me and was now having my dad's child. Fiona, seeing that I was stunned, rushed over and shook my arm. Just like how she used to when she'd encounter a bug in school and ask me to fix it. You're going to be an older brother. Aren't you happy? We won't have your annoying sister anymore. Just the four of us. Kevin, don't worry. The baby I'm carrying is going to be a genius. She'll make our family very happy. I pulled my arm away, confused by why she thought I would be happy. But after thinking it over, I realized it didn't matter much to me anymore. I never wanted the family's fortune anyway, and as for the stolen money, I had no intention of helping them recover it. I coldly said, well, congratulations. I knew you'd be happy for me. So, please help your dad out and get the money back. I shook my head. Fiona, you know my dad has very high standards for his children's intelligence. If the child has to be a genius, then the mother should be a genius too. You've seen what my dad is capable of. He can get you pregnant. And he can get other women pregnant too. Now, your dad's company is in crisis. And this is your chance to prove yourself. So, why don't you help him resolve it? That way, your baby's future position will be secure. Fiona looked troubled. But you know my abilities aren't great. I don't have the skills to handle this complicated problem. Can we go back to how things used to be? You do the work, and I'll just copy it. Of course, I replied. We had both gotten into the computer science program together. She was smart, but her focus had always been on finding a rich guy, never on actually learning. We used to be friends, and in every competition, I'd take on double the workload. Never did I expect her to betray me so completely. Chapter 9. Using my technical skills, I disguised myself as a hacker and took the last remaining sum of money from the family's account. I then hacked into the system and corrupted the data of several users currently being tested. Fiona ran the code I gave her, and the users excitedly reported that the money had been returned by the hacker. Fiona was ecstatic. To be honest, I've also noticed your dad searching for top-quality female genes from various universities. I've always been worried about my position, which is why I chose to sell you out. Now, everything's going to be fine. Your dad will be so excited about our baby. I nodded. Good. Then, from now on, you'll be my only good friend. After getting everything done, I told her I needed to use the bathroom. Fiona, still caught up in her excitement, didn't pay attention to me. I slipped away and made a beeline for the airport. That's when my life as a rich man traveling the world began. An hour later, I checked social media and saw that my family was trending again. Clients could see the money in their accounts, but they couldn't withdraw it. Clients had reported it to financial regulators, and a swarm of police arrived at our house to investigate. Unfortunately, by then, we had no money left. The money from the clients had been completely stolen, and the accounts were now filled with zeros. Within the next hour, all the user accounts were drained. All the users realized their savings were gone. My family owed enough money to bankrupt a large corporation. My dad couldn't face it, so he chose to take his own life. I don't know what happened to Fiona and the child, but I'm sure it wasn't good. By that time, I had already reached Iceland to see the northern lights. From then on, I would be a lonely, rich man. And thinking about it, life felt full of hope. 7 years ago, I picked up a fallen girl. I poured all my resources into her, elevating her to the status of a top-tier celebrity, but she repaid my kindness with betrayal. She got involved with her assistant and used the media to trample me beneath her feet. And then, I opened my eyes again, back to 7 years ago, just before I was about to find her. This time, when she looked at me with longing eyes, I turned a blind eye. Instead, I glanced at the cold, melancholic girl beside her, who, despite her current struggles, would one day become a movie queen. I smiled and asked, "Would you like to come with me?" Chapter 1. When I came to inspect the set, I heard murmurs behind me. Someone said, "This must be the heir of the investors, right? He looks like a typical rich second generation. I heard he wants to become a manager. If anyone gets his attention, they'll never have to worry about resources again." I kept a neutral expression and walked forward. As I neared a corner, I slowed my pace. 3, 2, 1. I counted in my mind. As the countdown ended, A figure suddenly rushed out from the other side of the corner, bumping into me in a flurry. She staggered, nearly losing her balance, and fell into me. Her face turned bright red as she held onto my arm and whispered, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bump into you." I looked at her. Her eyes, full of tenderness, were staring intently at me. Sure enough, this was the moment. In my past life, Willow had done the same thing when I came to inspect the set. She'd rushed out from the corner and crashed into me. The close contact made me notice her stunning beauty, skin as delicate as porcelain, lips like cherry blossoms. Her ethereal, almost otherworldly appearance seemed to be made for the screen. Later, Willow became the first artist I signed, and eventually, she became my lover. I used all my resources and spent 7 years elevating Willow to the top. In return, I was met with her betrayal. She not only cheated on me with the assistant, but when I was at my lowest, she used the media to humiliate me. Now, the scene in front of me was exactly like when we first met in my previous life, but this time, I wouldn't repeat the same mistakes. I immediately pushed her away, not even sparing her a glance, and coldly said to the crew, "Is this how disorganized your set always is?" Willow froze, her expression immediately stiffening. I frowned in dissatisfaction and said, "Bumping into me is one thing, but what if you hit the equipment and delayed the schedule? Who will take responsibility for the loss? If everyone is this careless, how are we supposed to finish this production?" The crew members were quick to apologize, bowing repeatedly. "Sorry, Mr. Wong, this is just one of the extras, and she doesn't know the rules. Once today's shoot is over, we'll send her away." Then, they turned to Willow, glaring at her. Quickly, "Apologize to Mr. Wong." Willow stared at me in disbelief, clearly not expecting this reaction from me. After a long pause, she reluctantly muttered, "Sorry, I found it laughable. In my previous life, she had lied and betrayed me, destroying my reputation, and never once apologized. Now, just because of a reprimand from others, she was lowering her head to me. It seemed that the best way to keep her in line was to let her remain a nameless nobody." The crew member said, "Mr. Wong, the director is still waiting for you. What do you think?" He looked nervous and gestured for me to move forward. I nodded and said, "Let's go." Just as I was about to step forward, Willow stopped me, unwilling to give up. She bit her lip and said, "Mr. Wong, I know you want to become a manager and are looking for artists. Please, sign me. I'm really good at acting. I promise I won't disappoint you." Her words were blunt, and her tone was filled with confidence. But I remembered how shy and timid Willow had been when I first signed her in my previous life. She was always afraid of saying the wrong thing. What had changed her? Could it be that Willow had also traveled back from 7 years in the future? Chapter 2. I curled my lips into a mocking smile and said, "You, an extra, what gives you the right to say such things?" Willow replied with certainty, "If you saw my performance, you'd definitely give me the chance." Indeed, in my previous life, it was precisely when I saw Willow struggling in the mud during a scene that I was moved by her. But back then, I was just quietly observing from the sidelines. Now, however, it was her who was actively asking for the opportunity. I looked at her indifferently and said, "There are many people who want to get a chance from me, but you're not qualified." Willow looked at me in surprise. Her lips pressed together as if she wanted to say something more, but I had already turned and walked toward the director. "Mr. Wong." The director was very respectful. Stepping aside from the camera, I waved my hand and said, "No need to mind me, just follow your rhythm." It was a coincidence that the scene the director was about to shoot involved Willow's part. Though she was just an extra, her beauty earned her 3 lines, making her the leader among the extras. Noticing my gaze, Willow acted even more passionately. I, however, couldn't be bothered to watch her. Instead, my attention was drawn to a woman behind Willow. This woman had no lines, but her deep eyes were like the moonlight reflected on the vast ocean, a single glance pulling one into the misty darkness of the night. In the muddy struggle scene, she didn't express herself with tears like Willow did. Instead, she used her trembling body and subtle facial expressions to sketch out a character that was unwilling to accept her fate but still yearning for something more. No wonder she was destined to be the future movie queen. Anna. Even as an extra, her acting was already captivating. Unfortunately, in my previous life, after she won the Best Actress award, she fell into depression and tragically committed suicide by jumping off a building. Gradually being forgotten by everyone, I stared at her for quite a while before finally recognizing her and matching her to the image in my memory. I never imagined I would encounter her here in this new life. Cut. At the director's call, the extras in the mud stood up. Willow moved especially quickly, eagerly wiping the mud off her face and looking toward me with anticipation. I only gave her a brief glance and then asked the director, "Do these extras have any other scenes?" The director replied, "No, that's all." He seemed to catch my meaning and asked, "Mr. Wong, is there someone you have your eye on?" I smiled and nodded. "Indeed, there is one. Upon hearing this, the crew began whispering among themselves. Everyone knew that I was with the investors, and with my wealth and status, anyone I chose would not only avoid struggling for resources but also be guaranteed to rise to fame. The director asked, "Who has caught Mr. Wang's eye?" He instructed the extras to line up so I could get a better look. Willow stood closest to me, her head held high, excitement and arrogance impossible to conceal in her eyes. Meanwhile, Anna seemed lost in thought, gazing off into the distance as though the whole situation had nothing to do with her. The director chuckled and said, "Mr. Wang, just take whoever you like. These newcomers are all dreaming of their big break." With the eyes of the crowd fixed on me, I stood up. As I approached Willow, she beamed with hope and stepped forward, saying with a smile, "George, I knew you'd choose me." However, I didn't even spare her a glance as I walked right past her and stopped in front of Anna. I then reached out my finger, pointed at the cold, aloof girl, and said, "You, come with me." The room was immediately filled with astonished murmurs. The gossip, admiration, and doubt from the crowd all rushed toward Anna. Amidst the commotion, Anna's previously sorrowful expression seemed to soften. She bit her lip and, after a long pause, incredulously asked, "You chose me?" "Yes," I answered, smiling at her. In my previous life, we didn't have much interaction, but I still remembered the deep regret I felt when I heard about her death. I had watched the movie she was in. She was not only stunningly beautiful but also an exceptional actress. Every frown, every smile, every gesture of hers seemed to draw from her life experience, effortlessly pulling the audience into her world. A person like that was born to act. After finally reaching the top, why would she choose to take her own life? I felt sorrow for her. I was curious, and most of all, I didn't want to give up on the future movie queen. Willow said, "How is that possible?" She stared at me, eyes wide in disbelief, and rushed to stand in front of me, demanding, "George, how could you choose someone else? You should have chosen me." I frowned and said, "Choose you?" That's when I remembered Willow's presence. Looking at her now, with no emotional filter, all I felt was disgust. I scoffed and said, "Who do you think you are?" Willow's body trembled as if she suddenly realized something. Her face turned pale as she scrutinized every inch of my expression, holding her breath and slowly asking, "George, you've returned." Chapter 3. I calmly looked at Willow, as if I were looking at someone intellectually challenged. The answer was already clear without needing to be spoken. Willow's face gradually twisted, and she yelled out in fury, "George, can you really be so heartless? Are you truly going to completely abandon me?" Just as she was about to go into a hysterical fit, Anna stepped forward and pushed her aside. Her tone was cold, like ice, as she said, "Playing the victim just because you weren't chosen. I truly admire your shamelessness. Your skin must be incredibly thick from all the care you put into it." Willow's eyes bulged with rage, and she raised her hand to slap Anna. But Anna swiftly grabbed her wrist, holding it tightly. The crew, who had already realized what was happening, rushed forward and dragged Willow away. One of them said, "Mr. Wang is with the investors. He's our benefactor. You're just an extra, so don't stand here causing trouble." Willow was escorted out of the set. Before she left, she glared at me with a hateful look, but I no longer cared. Anna, on the other hand, stayed where she was, quietly observing me. Unlike her earlier cold demeanor when confronting Willow, she now looked a bit flustered and unsure. I smiled and said, "Go change, and then come with me." I nodded toward Anna, signaling her to meet me by the car. About 10 minutes later, she arrived. Anna had changed into a one-shoulder blue dress, which highlighted her graceful curves. She had probably just taken a shower, as her long hair was slightly damp, adding a softness to her previously cold aura. Such a unique quality. How had I not noticed it in my previous life? I opened the car door and called out to her, "Get in." However, Anna didn't move. She scrutinized me with a probing gaze, as if trying to figure out my intentions. She asked, "Are you really going to sign me?" I replied, "Of course." She continued, "Then what are the conditions?" I answered, "A 7-year contract. The specific terms can be discussed with the legal team." She shook her head slightly and said, "I'm not asking about the contract conditions." Anna paused, as if thinking about how to phrase her question, and then, in a low voice, asked, "Are there any other conditions?" Now I understood what she meant. I couldn't help but smile. "Do you think I'm signing you because I want something from your body?" It wasn't hard to understand why she might think that. This was the entertainment industry, where everything was transactional. To gain something, one had to give something in return. Money and favors were common exchanges, and Anna certainly had the kind of face that could command such attention. I reassured her, "Don't worry. Aside from acting, I won't force you into anything you don't want to do." As soon as I said that, Anna visibly relaxed. There were only the two of us here, and if I had an ulterior motive, there was no need for me to hide it or deceive her. Yet she still had a question. "So, If you've chosen me, what is it that you want from me? I was momentarily stunned. This was something Willow had never asked. She had only ever demanded things from me, always making it clear what she wanted. But this girl before me seemed more concerned with my needs. She was thinking about how to reciprocate the kindness she had yet to receive. My heart softened as I looked into her eyes, and I said seriously, "Just act well, live well, that's all." Anna was taken aback. She probably hadn't expected such a simple answer. After a moment, she finally relaxed, and for the first time since we'd met, a smile appeared on her face. She smiled gently and said, "Then it's a deal. I'll be your artist, my manager." Chapter 4. Anna signed a 7-year contract with me. After the signing, the first resource I offered her was the lead role in a low-budget campus drama. This was the same resource I had given to Willow in my previous life, and she had gained popularity from it, earning the title of Campus Goddess. Although the budget was small, the drama became a surprise hit during the summer season, launching the careers of several lead actors, especially the female lead, cold and reserved in personality. Anna fit the role even better than Willow. Anna nervously asked, "You're giving me the lead role right away. What if I mess it up?" I smiled and reassured her. "You're more than capable of handling this role. This is just the beginning. Your stage is much higher than this." Anna suddenly lifted her gaze, and her eyes, like two small flames in the dark, seemed to burn with intensity. After a long pause, she seriously replied, "Okay, I won't disappoint you." We rushed to prepare for the filming. However, on the day of the shoot, I was caught off guard. The role of the second female lead had been changed to Willow. Chapter 5. Mr. Wang, we all know that your father is the largest investor in this drama, but Mr. Luis is the second largest investor, and he insisted on changing the second female lead, the producer explained to me. As soon as I heard that, I understood the situation. Luis was a businessman in his late 40s or early 50s. In my previous life, when Willow was somewhat famous, Luis had made an offer to her. Willow had laughed about it, saying, "How could I possibly care about him when I have George? That old man is disgusting, greasy and self-important, thinking that just because you give him a smile, people will like him." I never expected that in this life. After I rejected her, she would take the initiative to approach Luis. She must have offered something in return to secure the second female lead role. It was truly revolting, but the shoot had already started. If we changed the cast now, the financial loss would be minimal, but what worried me was that Willow would use the media to play the victim and smear Anna. Moreover, Luis had worked with my father before, and I didn't want to offend him just for Willow's sake. Suppressing the anger rising inside me, I accompanied Anna to the set. As soon as we got out of the car, the director called Anna away. I decided to wander around the set by myself. Suddenly, someone patted me on the back. I laughed. "Back so soon?" I turned around, but the words caught in my throat. Willow was standing there, smiling at me and shaking a cup of coffee. My expression grew cold, and I asked, "Is there something you need?" She tilted her head, saying, "I bought hot drinks for everyone on set. This coffee is for you. I remember you used to love espresso." She extended her arm to hand me the cup. I didn't take it, and she pouted, acting cute. "Come on, try it. You used to love this brand. It won't be around in 7 years." I couldn't take it anymore and slapped the coffee out of her hand. Furiously, I snapped, "Willow, stop trying to get close to me. Do you think we're close?" Willow, however, wasn't angry at all. She blinked, speaking in a tone that was almost coquettish. "Why are you so angry? You're just doing this to spite me, aren't you? You signed someone else on purpose, right?" I was speechless. I sneered. "Willow, you're still as clueless as ever. Do you think you can get famous just by selling yourself to Luis?" The color drained from Willow's face, but in an instant, she regained her composure and began to play the victim. "It's all because of you. It's because you didn't sign me that I was forced to go to someone else. George, why do you have to treat me this way? I know you're mad at me, but that was all in the past. Why don't we just start over? To be honest, the one I've always loved is you." She spoke as though she were the victim, implying that it was me who had pushed her into someone else's bed. It was utterly absurd. I laughed and said, "Willow, stop with these useless tricks. Let's be honest. You came to me with all this pretentious talk just to ask me to cast you as the lead, right?" I mercilessly exposed her false front, looking down on her with disdain. "I used to think you and that assistant were in love, but turns out, before he even showed up, you were already in the arms of an old man. Do whatever you want with yourself. I don't care, but if you keep pestering me, I'll make sure you don't even get the second female role." I turned to walk away, but Willow suddenly screamed in hysteria. "Do you think Anna is such a good person? Do you know her past? I'll tell you, her dad is a rapist, and her mom is a sex worker. Her dad raped her mom, and when he went to prison, he died there. Her mom, unable to care for her, wanted to throw her away, wishing she could just leave her to die. Someone who grew up in such an environment, how could she be a good girl? She might be rotten to the core. I stopped in my tracks and turned to look at her coldly. Willow froze under my gaze. Lowering her voice, she bit her lip and said, "George, Anna has psychological issues. She'll probably commit suicide one day. You signed her, and in the end, it'll all be for nothing." I was burning with fury. Before she could finish, I kicked her to the ground. Willow collapsed onto the floor, looking up at me with a wounded expression. "George, you actually kicked me." I smiled coldly, my voice full of malice. "None of my people get to be criticized by you. If you don't get it, not only will I kick you, but I'll also dance on your grave." Willow's eyes were filled with shock. It was probably only then that she finally woke up from her fantasy of trying to win me back. In the past, I had probably been a classic simp, letting her treat me however she wanted, thinking that no matter what she did, I would always come back to her. But I was no longer the old me. After experiencing betrayal in love, a failed career, and public criticism, I no longer trusted anyone easily, especially not Willow, who had hurt me the most. At last, Willow realized the reality. Slowly, she stood up and walked away, dejected. I turned my head. And there, not far away, was Anna, leaning against a withered sycamore tree. Her pale face looked like a fallen leaf in late autumn, fragile and fading. Chapter 6. My heart clenched in pain. Previously, I had thought that Anna's suicide attempt was due to some incident in her life, and that if I changed the trajectory of her life, the suicide wouldn't happen. But I hadn't expected that she had such a broken past. I walked toward Anna, looking at her quietly standing in the shadows, and an impulse suddenly surged within me. I wanted to hug her, but just as I extended my hand, Anna spoke first. Her voice trembled. "I didn't tell you before because I was afraid you'd distance yourself from me. Now that you know everything, if you want to cancel the contract, I agree." Her voice was barely audible, like a mosquito's buzz, and the hand at her side was tightly clenched, trembling slightly. I asked, "Cancel the contract? Who said anything about canceling it?" Anna looked up in surprise. "You don't mind?" I frowned. "I'm your manager. I have to be responsible for you." I thought for a moment and continued. "Since Willow was able to dig up this information, it means others can find it too. We need to quickly create a cleaner background for you." Two sparks of light appeared in Anna's dimmed eyes, but her body still trembled slightly. I continued to reassure her. "Of course, this doesn't mean your past is shameful. On the contrary, I think you've done an excellent job growing up in such an environment. That's why I'm going to create a new background for you. I just don't want you to bear any more criticism. Do you understand?" Anna didn't answer. Instead, she just quietly stared at me, her eyes growing redder. I asked, "Why are you staring at me like that? Is there something on my face?" Just as I was about to wipe my face, Anna suddenly threw herself into my arms. The sudden embrace caught me off guard, but I still reached out and gently patted her back to comfort her. I only wanted to say something simple. "I'm here," Anna whispered in my ear. "Thank you, George," I corrected her. "You should call me boss." Anna didn't respond. I continued. "This is your first leading role. Perform well and avoid causing trouble. The right path is for me to make a huge profit from you. Even if Willow provokes you later, just ignore her. Can you do that?" She replied. "Yes, I can." There was a hint of a smile in Anna's tone, her voice clear and pure, like a feather brushing against my heart. She said, "You signed me, and I'll make sure you never regret it." "George," I replied. "I've told you before, call me boss," she answered. "Okay, George." Chapter 7. Anna lived up to her word. Throughout the entire filming process, she focused solely on acting and never caused any trouble. I heard that Willow had tried to provoke her multiple times, but Anna completely ignored her, not even bothering to look in her direction. The crew, always quick to flatter those above them and put down those below, surrounded Anna, while they coldly ignored Willow, the second female lead. Nothing is more painful than being ignored. Anna's dedication also paid off. Just like in the past life, the show became a surprise hit in the summer season. With its viewership climbing steadily, Anna's fan base grew wildly, with netizens praising her for her cool, reserved demeanor and her immersive acting skills. Her influence surpassed Willow's in the previous life. As Anna's schedule became busier, I found myself overwhelmed and decided to hire her an assistant. Anna was somewhat reluctant. She furrowed her brows and said, "Can't it just be the two of us? I don't need an assistant. I can take care of myself." I coaxed her. "Be good. Sometimes I'm stretched thin and need more time to rest." Anna didn't say anything more, silently agreeing to the idea of hiring an assistant. Little did I know, this decision would bring an old acquaintance back into the picture. A young man named Makoto came in for an interview. He was none other than Willow's assistant in the previous life, and also the person Willow had an affair with. Makoto had written Anna a love poem, ardently expressing his feelings for her. The lines in the poem were almost identical to the ones he had written for Willow in the past. One of the lines read, Others may be captivated by your beauty on stage, but I see the true you beneath your delicate makeup compared to a body that will eventually wither. I care more about whether your soul is truly happy. It's laughable that Willow had once been so moved by this poem. Apparently, the poem wasn't just written for her, it was a blanket throw. Makoto had used sweet words and a warm, nice guy persona to win Willow's heart. The two of them had been secretly seeing each other behind my back, unwilling to give up the resources I provided, yet also sneaking around as an illicit couple, until one day, Wang's group suffered a major investment failure and declared bankruptcy. Makoto immediately convinced Willow to ditch me and withdraw from the film company we had co-founded. This move nearly brought me to ruin. To salvage her reputation, Willow poured all the blame on me, casting me as the villain. At that time, I had no resources left to fight back, and I had to endure the unjust insults from Willow's fans. Everything in my life fell apart. In the previous life, my fall from grace had been directly linked to Makoto, even though in this life, I had gotten involved in my father's company to prevent such mistakes. Makoto's appearance still made me uneasy. I wondered, how would Anna feel about him? I quietly waited outside the interview room. By the final round, the remaining candidates were all to be chosen by Anna. I heard Makoto's magnetic voice inside. Anna, did you read the letter I wrote you? Anna's voice was neutral as she replied. Yes, thank you for your affection. Makoto sounded eager. Then let me be by your side. Let me protect and care for you. Anna didn't speak for a moment. I held my breath in the silence, feeling a slight sweat on my palms. Then, I heard Anna's response. Her voice was cold as she said, "If this letter is from a fan, I appreciate it, but as a member of the team, this kind of behavior is inappropriate. Personal feelings shouldn't be mixed with work, don't you know that?" Makoto, embarrassed, quickly tried to backpedal. "But my feelings for you are sincere. As the sun and moon can witness, I'm even willing to do anything for you. If you give me a chance, I'll prove it to you." His voice was earnest, but Anna rolled her eyes and said, "Makoto, save your flowery words. The more you say you like me, the more I'll reject you, because I already have someone I like, and he's in our team." My heart skipped a beat, then started pounding wildly. Our team? Isn't it just Anna and me? She likes me. When did that happen? I forced myself to calm down. After Willow's betrayal, I needed to be more cautious with emotions. Besides, Anna was my artist. Business had to come first. I rubbed my temples and decided to act like I hadn't heard anything. But when Makoto left, I had someone send him off and, somewhat intentionally, hinted to him. Willow's studio is also hiring assistants. Let's see how this couple, so deep in love, would turn out in the end. Chapter 8. 3 days later, I got the news that Makoto had successfully become Willow's assistant. As for Anna, she chose her best friend as her assistant. Then followed a period of intense work. Anna had countless offers, and I helped her pick a few big hits from the past that had both solid viewership and good reviews, helping her secure her footing in the industry. Anna was someone who had a genuine passion for acting. She didn't take on trashy roles just for the paycheck. Whether it was a lead or a supporting role, she threw herself fully into it. Although she didn't rise to fame as quickly as the traffic stars, her reputation grew steadily. Willow, like me, had also returned from 7 years in the past, so she knew which projects would be successful. But just like in the previous life, she chose to do light-hearted youth idol dramas, where she wouldn't even memorize her lines, simply trying to make quick money. In the past, I had suggested she try transitioning into more serious acting, but Willow threw a tantrum, accusing me of not believing in her charm. Nevertheless, with Luis supporting her and the idol-like aura she had built in the past, she still gained quite a bit of popularity and saw moderate success. The two of them had different paths when it came to acting, so it wasn't likely they'd fight for the same resources. That was until the movie Withered Leaves began casting. This was the film that Anna won Best Actress for in the past life. Withered Leaves was a project by the famous director David. In the previous life, David had held nationwide auditions to find the right female lead and was even willing to work with newcomers. This was how Anna, who was relatively unknown, got the opportunity and eventually landed the lead role after several rounds of selection. But in reality, before the nationwide auditions, David had held several closed auditions for established actors. It was only after failing to find a satisfactory candidate that he widened the search to newcomers. Now, the actors were once again gathering for the final round of auditions. Top directors were casting, and everyone was doing their best to stand out. I also sent Anna's information over and successfully received an audition invitation. What I didn't expect was that on the day of the audition, Willow showed up, and she was accompanied by her assistant, Makoto. Although they were standing at a distance, the flirtatious looks they exchanged were obvious. They were already involved with each other. Willow sneered. "George, you're really ruthless. You know Anna is going to suffer in this role, yet you still send her for the audition." Her smile was full of disdain, though it seemed like she was addressing me. Her words were clearly meant to unsettle Anna. Without hesitation, I mocked her. Which drain wasn't properly sealed, and now you're crawling back out? You only have one face. Shouldn't you save some of it? Anna chuckled beside me. Makoto, who had been silent until then, immediately stepped forward to play the knight in shining armor, reprimanding me. Shut up. If you don't know how to speak, don't speak at all. Willow has nothing to be ashamed of. Her face has been certified as a national goddess by millions of fans. His words made my skin crawl, I responded. Doesn't that make you embarrassed to say out loud? I paused, then mocked. If I'm not mistaken, you applied to be Anna's assistant at first, right? And you even wrote her a little love poem. I was really touched by it. Willow's gaze immediately turned cold. She asked Makoto. You wrote Anna a love poem too, didn't you say you only wrote one for me? Makoto looked deeply into her eyes and replied. Willow, what's wrong with you? I love you so much, yet you'd rather believe them than me. I was getting more and more disgusted by the situation. I interrupted. So, what about this? I took out my phone and showed them the picture of the poem Makoto had written. Each word was handwritten. Willow immediately recognized the handwriting. Her face turned red with anger, and she snapped. Makoto, you lied to me. Her face was flushed with fury, and it seemed like she was about to lose control. Makoto's lips quivered as he anxiously tried to explain. Willow, I'll explain everything to you when we get back, but don't forget, we came here for a real reason. Willow was jolted back to reality by the reminder. She restrained her emotions and reluctantly looked at Anna, saying, Anna, I'm just trying to warn you, you should give up on this role. If you take it, you'll be finished. Her words were exaggerated, as if for dramatic effect, waiting for Anna to ask more. But Anna didn't take the bait. She wasn't curious at all. Instead, she replied indifferently. Don't worry about it. I can make my own judgments. Willow tried to say more, but just then, the director's assistant came out with the audition scripts for everyone. The assistant said, each of you will receive different scenes, so be sure to keep your scripts safe. I saw that Anna had received her script, so I stepped outside to take a call, telling her to prepare calmly. When I came back, however, I noticed that Anna's expression seemed off. I asked, is there a problem? Anna frowned slightly and said, I think my script was swapped. I was startled and quickly took the script from her to check. Having seen Withered Leaves in the past, I was familiar with the lines, so it was easy for me to tell that this was not the script for the movie. It was a poorly written comedy. I asked, tell me, what happened after I left? Anna replied. I hadn't had time to read the script when Willow bumped into me. The script fell to the ground, and it was Makoto who picked it up and handed it back to me. I said, so you're saying Makoto swapped your script? I stood up in anger. Then let's go take it back from him. Anna held me back, trying to calm me down. I already asked them, and they denied it. Besides, everyone has different scripts, so we can't be sure, I said. Then let's have the director's assistant give you a new one. She shook her head. It's not possible. Director David values the attitude toward acting above all else. If I make a mistake right after receiving the script, the first impression will be ruined, and no matter how well I perform, it won't be enough to recover from it. I asked, so what do we do now? You haven't even seen the script. How are you supposed to perform? I was anxious for Anna. I had thought that since she had already won the role of the female lead in Withered Leaves in the past life, there wouldn't be any problems this time. I never expected Willow and Makoto to be so persistent, causing trouble like this. Before Anna could respond, the director's assistant came out and called. The first one for the audition. Anna, please come over. I was so anxious I could feel sweat on my forehead. So soon, Anna lightly squeezed my arm and said, don't worry, I've got it handled. Chapter 9. Anna entered the audition room. I couldn't make sense of it. How could she, who hadn't even seen the correct script, have any way of handling it? She wouldn't just make things up, would she? Or maybe, the audition script wasn't Withered Leaves at all, and the director was just trying to pick actors through a ridiculous comedy. I clung to a shred of hope, silently praying, but Willow wouldn't let me have peace. She walked over to my side, curling her lips into a cold smirk and said, George, you look pretty nervous. Is Anna not prepared? I noticed she barely glanced at the script earlier. Did she give up in advance? What a shame. Withered Leaves is such a great script. Even just reading the scene made me emotional. How could Anna not even look at it? I froze. So, the audition content really was Withered Leaves. That little bit of hope I had left evaporated completely. Willow, I said slowly, each word sharp, you've always stuck to youth idol dramas. So how come you're interested in Withered Leaves? A serious art film? Are you deliberately trying to cause trouble? Willow laughed so wildly that I thought she might fall apart. She replied, yeah, even if I can't play the role, I won't let Anna have her way. Wasn't the reason you chose her because she was the future best actress? Now that she's missed this film, she's lost that title. What does your choice mean now? Her malicious intent was clear as day. The script had definitely been swapped by her and Makoto, no doubt about it. I sneered. How foolish. You think Anna is just a pretty face like you. She won that Best Actress award not by accident, but by her acting skills. Even without withered leaves, she'll find other roles. Besides, who gave you the right to decide she's already missed withered leaves? Before Willow could respond, the door to the audition room opened, but it wasn't Anna who walked out. It was the director's assistant. He said, "Everyone, sorry to keep you waiting. I have an announcement to make." The assistant raised his voice, his tone apologetic but filled with excitement as he said, "Director David has found the actress he was looking for. No need for the others to continue the audition. Feel free to head back. We apologize for any inconvenience." The moment those words left his mouth, the room exploded in chatter. People whispered, "Does that mean we won't be seeing anyone else? Is there some sort of insider story behind this? Do you think Anna got the role?" That would be expected. With someone like Director David, there's no need for any insider gossip. He has full authority to make the decision himself. Wow. She must have performed so well for him to make the decision right away. Willow and Makoto, who had been so full of arrogance just moments ago, turned pale as paper. I couldn't help but smile, feeling a sense of satisfaction amidst the murmurs around me. It wasn't until a long while later that Anna emerged from the audition room, walking alongside Director David. The admiration the director had for her was apparent. He said, "I thought finding the right actress for the female lead would be the hardest part. I was prepared for a long battle, but after seeing Anna's performance, I knew I'd found her." The director looked at me with a smile, extending his hand. "You must be Anna's agent, right? If everything looks good, we can finalize the contract this week." I held back my grin, replying politely, "Of course, no problem. Thank you for recognizing Anna." Director David personally escorted Anna and me out, and we spent the time chatting about the script and the characters. Anna responded with ease, impressing me further. Behind us, Willow and Makoto stood dumbfounded, racking their brains, trying to figure out what had gone wrong. Chapter 10. I couldn't make sense of it either. So as soon as we got in the car, I couldn't wait to ask Anna, "You didn't even see the script? How did you pull off the audition?" Anna tilted her head with a haughty air, a slight ripple passing through her cool expression as her cheeks flushed just a little from her smile. She replied, "Who said I didn't see the script? I just didn't look at it earlier." I thought back to how Anna, the moment she opened the script, immediately knew that this wasn't Withered Leaves. That meant she already knew what the lines from Withered Leaves should look like. I asked, "Did you get the script in advance?" Anna shook her head. "No." My heart skipped a beat, and another bold theory surfaced in my mind, but I wasn't sure how to express it. Anna seemed to read my thoughts. Slowly, she spoke. "Yes, George, you guessed it. I'm also from the future." I felt as if I had been struck by lightning. No wonder Willow had kept insisting that Anna would die if she acted in Withered Leaves. But Anna hadn't shown the slightest curiosity. It was because she had experienced it firsthand, which is why she remained so calm. But why did she end up committing suicide in her past life? Anna took a deep breath, her voice sinking into the depths of the past as she began. "You've already heard from Willow about my background. My mother always hated me. I've lost count of the number of times she tried to kill me and failed. When I grew older, she didn't try to kill me anymore, but she was always cold, always full of hatred. At that time, I thought it was because I wasn't good enough or successful enough. That's why she despised me. I thought, if one day I could become her pride, maybe she'd finally look at me. So, I started from being a small supporting character, and eventually, I got the chance for Withered Leaves. But when I won the Best Actress award and finally had flowers and applause, I went back to see her, only to hear her say, 'Go die.' In that moment, all my beliefs collapsed. I realized that no matter how hard I tried, I didn't deserve even a little bit of love. I had nothing to rely on in this world, and nothing worth holding on to. Depression hit, and I jumped off a building. But, unexpectedly, fate gave me a second chance. The day you came to the set, I had planned to finish that scene and then leave the entertainment industry forever. But you chose me. That never happened in my past life. I realized something had changed. You trust me, support me, and stand by me unconditionally. There were times I thought you'd abandon me like everyone else, but you didn't. George, you reignited my passion for life. I won't feel hopeless anymore. How could I leave this world when you're here with me?" My heart stirred. Each of her words struck deep within me. To be trusted and to trust someone else, what a beautiful thing that is. I once thought that being given a second chance was just to correct mistakes and get back on track. Now I realize that it's a chance to gather up the broken pieces of myself and make them whole, learning to cherish myself in the process of being reborn. For both me and Anna. "George, I have one request." Anna suddenly spoke. I asked, "What is it?" Anna's eyes were clear, her peach blossom gaze silently looking at me. She said, "In my past life, I won the Best Actress trophy, but I was always alone. This time, could you please be there for me off stage? In this new life, I want to experience something different. I smiled and answered without hesitation. Of course, I'll be with you, in every moment you need me. Chapter 11. Anna smoothly joined the set of Withered Leaves and the intense filming began. I wasn't idly waiting either. Willow and Makoto had thrown such a big obstacle in my way. How could I just let it slide? I had already gathered enough evidence of their messy affairs, and I found a reliable middleman to pass the information on to Luis. Luis wasn't like me, soft-hearted and lenient. He had always treated Willow, this internet star, as a mere plaything, someone who was obedient and easy to manipulate. But when she dared to cheat under his nose, he was never going to let it slide. Luis immediately pulled all his investments from her, and the endorsement deals were cancelled one by one. Soon after, the scandal broke. Willow was being kept by a wealthy sponsor, and her affair with her assistant was exposed. Her idol image shattered overnight, and the internet was flooded with criticism. I then took advantage of the situation and exposed the surveillance footage of Willow and Makoto switching Anna's script. This wasn't just a scandal anymore, it was a matter of professionalism and ethical standards. Fans who had once defended her with claims of, "My sister was forced into the industry," quickly fell silent, scattering in all directions. Had Willow focused on acting and honed her skills, maybe she could have weathered the storm after a period of silence and still found work. But Willow relied entirely on her fame, and once her fanbase collapsed, she was worthless. Later, I heard that Willow and Makoto, the so-called true love couple, had broken up. I wasn't the least bit surprised. People like Willow, who only cared about using men to climb the ladder, never satisfied with the attention of the weak once they've made it, would never find peace. When she hit rock bottom, what use did she have to Makoto? He cast her aside like yesterday's trash. But now that Makoto had betrayed Luis, I doubted he would have a happy ending. Wong. Willow is here again. She hopes to meet with you, my subordinate told me. I stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling window, looking at the desolate and haggard figure below, and replied coldly, "I won't meet her. She can come as many times as she wants. I won't meet her. I can guess exactly what she wants to say with my little finger. If she dares to come again, just have the security throw her out." My subordinate received the order and immediately went downstairs to escort Willow out. Willow refused to leave, so 2 security guards were called to physically remove her, and she threatened to call the police. The crowd gathered around, gossiping and pointing fingers, until Willow finally relented and left in a hurry. After that, she never came back and disappeared from the entertainment industry entirely. The view outside the window was finally clean. Chapter 12. As winter turned to spring, Withered Leaves was successfully released, though it was an art film, with director David's name attached. The movie performed well at the box office. As word of mouth spread, ticket sales soared, and it became a massive success. Everyone who saw the film was deeply impressed by Anna's performance. The way she combined fragility and unyieldingness in her character left audiences entranced, unable to pull themselves away. Withered Leaves made Anna a household name, but she didn't let the fame consume her. She continued living a simple life, just like before. The only change was that her visits to my place became more frequent. She'd say, "Now a lot of people like me, and several other actors are chasing after me. George, what should I do?" Then, a little upset, she'd add, "If you don't stop me, I might just agree to one of them." On her days off, she liked to come over to my house, playing games, chatting, watching movies, or simply sitting together in silence, content with each other's presence. I began to get used to a world where she was always there. 3 months after Withered Leaves premiered, Anna, just like in her past life, won the Best Actress award. On the stage, under the spotlight, holding the trophy, she gazed at me with teary eyes and confessed, "This trophy, I want to dedicate it to the most important person in my life. My past life was like the withered leaves in Withered Leaves, dry and falling apart. But when he came into my life, the leaves started to rustle again, bringing new life. George, I love you. I'm willing to sign my life over to you." The applause from the audience was deafening. She, a young woman, publicly declared her love for me in front of everyone. No backup plan, no fear of rejection. But how could I possibly turn her down? Through the days of being with her, she had already become a precious part of my life. Amidst the crowd's cheers, I walked onto the stage, joining her to raise the trophy. Behind us, the theme song of Withered Leaves played, reflecting the journey we had walked together. My withered leaves were meant to be blown away by the wind, but I remained at the foot of the tree, hoping to see spring once more. I know, I will meet you again in the next spring, buried deep in the soil. I will plant my love. As frost and snow fall, winter passes, and spring arrives. Withered Leaves has finally waited for the spring it yearned for, and you are the most beautiful stroke of warmth in the spring sunlight.